Derek Whiteleaf leaned more towards the ability to gather information later, especially after hearing that some students were transferring to the school. However, the information about the transferring students was all contained within the school's internal system. Apart from the principal, only the student council president and Hannah Yu, who held a special status, had access rights. The student council president was Liam Chung, one of the F4, and Derek Whiteleaf was more familiar with him. But Liam Chung had not been at school lately. Derek Whiteleaf had no choice but to step back and shamelessly seek out Hannah Yu. Initially, he thought it would be as easy as pie, but unexpectedly, he faced a disastrous failure. Was he really going to have to go to every class to ask if there were any new students transferring in? There were over 500 classes. Not only would it be a waste of effort, but it would also make him look foolish. After receiving her textbooks, Sophia Mara stopped by the homeroom teacher's office to report in and then returned to the dormitory. She didn't have time to eat lunch and was already hungry by early afternoon. She sat down for a moment, beginning to hesitate about whether to go to the canteen. After receiving her textbooks, Sophia Mara stopped by the homeroom teacher's office to report in and then returned to the dormitory. She didn't have time to eat lunch and was already hungry by early afternoon. She sat down for a moment, beginning to hesitate about whether to go to the canteen. Earlier, when she went to the General Affairs office to pick up her books, she also received her student ID, which had been loaded with a meal allowance, money from the Lorton Academy's monthly stipend for underprivileged students. However, thinking about the various gazes she had encountered on the way, Sophia Mara didn't want to go to a crowded place. At first she thought she was imagining things, but almost everyone who passed by seemed to stop and stare at her, making her very uncomfortable. If those passers-by knew, they might cry injustice. They had just happened to see a beautiful girl with fair skin and a good figure, and even if she hurriedly passed by with her head down, it would still catch people's attention, and they certainly didn't mean to cause trouble for her. However, Sophia Mara's hesitation quickly vanished when Chloe Tran returned from outside, thoughtfully bringing back a meal for her. Although she missed the chance to eat with her beautiful roommate because she had to attend a gathering with friends, watching the other girl enjoy the meal she brought back was still a peculiar joy. Chloe Tran watched Sophia Mara eat, secretly feeling pleased. What made her even happier was that this beautiful roommate was also majoring in anthropology like her. Although they weren't in the same class, their schedules were identical, so they could go to school together every day. Who else could be as lucky as Chloe Tran? A night without dreams quickly led to the next day. Before leaving the house, Sophia Mara thought for a moment and took a mask out of her suitcase to put on. Right, am, you should wear a mask. Otherwise, wouldn't those lecherous guys just stare until their eyes fell out? Chloe Tran raised both hands in agreement, making Sophia Mara feel that her action of wearing a mask was no longer too abrupt. The two hurried off, arriving at class 5 minutes before it started. They had barely sat down when they heard exclamations of surprise from around them. Wow, young Master Dylan and the princess came to class together again. Their relationship is really good. Who says otherwise? He even walked her to the classroom. My boyfriend isn't even that affectionate with me. Shut up. Your boyfriend can't compare to young Master Dylan. Besides, they're siblings. It's normal for them to have a good relationship. Haha. I also want a brother like young Master Dylan. Hearing this, Sophia Mara looked up towards the front of the classroom. She saw a beautiful girl gracefully entering with long bright blonde hair, exuding confidence. Through the doorway, she also caught a glimpse of a boy striding away. According to the plot of the novel, the one leaving was supposed to be her biological brother. Sophia Mara blinked her eyelashes, a mix of emotions swirling within her. If she didn't already know the future developments, she would undoubtedly be overjoyed to know she still had family in this world. But now, she truly couldn't feel any goodwill towards those who were called family. Although they might not have done anything yet, Sophia Mara couldn't forget that in the original story, the one who splashed acid on her was protected by Simon Chiu, living freely outside the law. Just because that person was a fan of Dylan Chiu, every action was to vent anger on her behalf. As for her parents, there was no need to mention them. They might have mourned and regretted her death, but they had never thought of uncovering the truth for her. Therefore, she would rather be alone for a lifetime than return to a wealthy family. What's wrong? Seeing Sophia Mara staring blankly out the door, Chloe Tran couldn't help but worry, waving her hand in front of her. Sophia Mara came to her senses, frowning slightly. It's nothing. Mistaking Sophia Mara's curiosity about the two at the door, Chloe Tran hurriedly explained. The person who just entered is Dylan Chiu, young Master Kui's sister. She's very capable, comes from a good family, and is beautiful. The words beautiful lingered in Chloe Tran's mouth, which she couldn't say in front of Sophia Mara. Since meeting this beautiful roommate, those she had previously found astonishing now seemed nothing special. She's decent looking. She's like a princess from a fairy tale, so we often call her the princess. Oh right, young Master Kui's real name is Simon Chiu, and he's also a member of the F4. He's a brother who dotes on his sister. He used to be in the 3rd grade and never came to our 1st grade class. We could only see him when Dylan Cho had a class. At this point Chloe Tran suddenly stopped. While the professor turned to write on the board, she observed Sophia Mara from head to toe, letting out a small gasp. Ma'am, I just realized young Master Kui's eyes and eyebrows are somewhat similar to yours. Sophia Mara shivered, her doe-like eyes blinking involuntarily. Before she could react, Chloe Tran had already curved her lips, proudly saying, Our ma'am is born with beauty. Young Master Kui having eyes and eyebrows like yours is his good fortune. Tangjiu, tu. Sophia Mara couldn't help but laugh, her amber eyes shimmering like the Milky Way. However, Chloe Tran's words also reminded Sophia Mara that if she and Simon Cho were indeed very similar, those with ill intentions would inevitably seize upon this to make trouble, which was completely contrary to her original plan. It seemed that to avoid everything in the original plot, wearing a mask to conceal her appearance was indeed necessary. You think I should tell my brother about this? On the other side of the classroom, Dylan Cho rested her chin on her hand, a sweet yet troubled expression on her face as she asked her best friend and assistant during break time. Lily Zhou slightly twitched her mouth, following her lead and saying, Are you talking about the 3rd young master targeting you? Actually, you don't need to tell young Master Cho. The 3rd young master hadn't done anything excessive, and the princess hadn't suffered any loss. It could completely be overlooked. That's true. Dylan Cho agreed with a smile, her delicate face blooming like a flower. Then I won't tell my brother for now. MHM. Lily Zhou nodded, turning her face away and rolling her eyes. She had been with Dylan Cho for a month and had long seen through her true nature, claiming to feel trouble because the 3rd young master in the F4 was targeting her. But when he treated her differently because of it, wasn't she also very pleased? Moreover, young Master Cho was her brother. Could she not act so sweet every time she mentioned him? Outsiders might think he was her boyfriend, but Lily Zhou understood that these thoughts could only be kept to herself and absolutely not spoken aloud. Oh, it was unbearable. Initially, she had thought about what to do, insisting on getting involved as a servant for this young lady, having to watch her perform every day. It was so annoying. Dylan Cho also found it incredibly annoying. Indeed, a group of wealthy kids who were originally aloof had their eyes on her, making it hard not to feel moved, especially with the admiration of countless people in the academy. But for her pain, these things were like a drop in the ocean, only able to bring her a momentary sense of joy amidst her troubles. Just thinking about that night, when her brother presented evidence proving that she was not actually a daughter of the Cho family, made Dylan Cho feel a wave of suffocating despair wash over her, nearly drowning her. She loved this family so much, adored her gentle mother and her respectable father, and could hardly bear to leave them. Why did fate allow her to experience 18 years of happiness, only to shatter that dream? Sometimes Dylan Cho even feared the depths of her own malice, because occasionally she found herself resenting the brother who revealed the truth to her. She would have preferred to live her whole life unaware of these secrets, although her brother said he had known about this for a long time, and the reason he only exposed it now was that he loved her and wanted to be by her side forever, under the guise of husband and wife. Thinking of this, the sorrowful expression on Dylan Cho's face turned into a shy blush. Right now, she could do nothing but hope that her brother truly meant what he said, to clear away all obstacles for their future. Ding ding ding, the bell signaling the end of the final class rang out, and Dylan Cho snapped back to reality. After the professor announced that the class was officially over, she picked up her bag and stood up. Today there were only 2 classes in the morning, and for the rest of the time she had to go home and obediently stay with her parents. Otherwise, when the real heiress returned, she would have no place in that family anymore. However, as soon as she stepped out of her seat, Dylan Cho found herself staring intently in a certain direction, unable to move. Princess, why aren't you leaving? Lily Zhou poked her head out from behind Dylan Cho, following her gaze. There was nothing there, just a few classmates. Why was she staring so intently? Oh no, it's nothing. Dylan Cho swallowed hard, puzzled. Just now she saw a girl wearing a mask, but it was clear that her eyes and eyebrows bore some resemblance to Simon Cho. If everything's fine, then let's go ahead. Seeing that most of the class had already left, Dylan Cho still stood in front, blocking her way, prompting Lily Zhou to urge her. Dylan Cho replied with a hum, trying to calm herself down. Perhaps she had just mistaken someone? Besides, even if there was some resemblance, it could just be a coincidence. Lately, she had been under a lot of pressure and was overly sensitive, which made her suspicious. She had to trust her brother. He would definitely keep his promise and handle everything well. After class, Sophia Mara went to the canteen with Chloe Tran. However, they didn't plan to eat there but intended to take their packed lunches back to the dorm. But while waiting in line for food, the conversation of the crowd behind distracted Sophia Mara. Did you hear? Yesterday, young Master Dorian Young was hit by a fake car at the school gate. Huh? Who would dare to hit young Master Dorian Young with a fake car? Are they tired of living? Maybe it's a new student who doesn't know any better. Well, she's in trouble now. Young Master Dorian Young is offering a reward of 2 million, vowing to find her. 3 girls in the back row eagerly shared their gossip, their tones filled with delight. Sophie Amara instinctively tightened her grip on the lunchbox, her whole body trembling, a chill running down her spine. Clearly, she wasn't the one who hit the fake car. It was Derek Whiteleaf who disobeyed traffic rules. Now he shamelessly used underhanded tactics to smear her name. Was he trying to repeat the same mistakes from the story and ruin her again? What's going on? I heard that the 200,000 reward from young Master Dorian Young is for the one who hit the fake car. No way? Since when has young Master Dorian Young been so easy to deal with? That person is outrageous, and he's still offering money. I don't know about that. Maybe it's some special preference of his. After all, the princess also had a fight with young Master Dorian Young because of a car accident. You know what I mean? Oh my god, stop talking. Young Master Dorian Young is here in person. What? Isn't young Master Dorian Young supposed to never come to this small canteen? Where is he? Sophie Amara couldn't focus on what was being said anymore. Just as she turned around after getting her food, she saw Derek Whiteleaf walking in from the canteen entrance. How coincidental could it be? The girl with snow-white skin wearing a mask, revealing only her delicate eyes and eyebrows, had her brows slightly furrowed, clearly showing signs of worry. It made onlookers want to endure it for her. Chloe Tran was just like that. If a beauty encountered trouble, she would rush in without hesitation. I'm the one who hit the car with Derek Whiteleaf at the school gate yesterday. Before Sophie Amara could finish her explanation, Chloe Tran had already filled in the blanks. Derek Whiteleaf drove his Rolls-Royce to school every day. How could it be so coincidental that on the first day, he crashed into her stunning roommate? There must be a long-standing scheme. What if Derek Whiteleaf had somehow learned about the beauty's schedule and intentionally crashed into her, wanting to take the opportunity to approach her? Only the clever beauty had seen through his tricks and refused to let him take pride in it. He wouldn't let it go, throwing out a ridiculous reward to lure the beauty into his trap. How despicable! Chloe Tran was furious, but the disparity in their backgrounds was evident. If she couldn't provoke him, could she not escape? Chloe Tran pulled Sophie Amara, intending to find a corner to sit down, using the crowd to shield the beauty. Unexpectedly, just as they took a few steps, they heard Derek Whiteleaf's distinctive youthful voice ring out. Stop! His voice carried a certain charm, the 2 short words flying to every corner, causing the entire canteen to fall silent in an instant. Almost everyone unconsciously halted in their tracks. Sophie Amara's heart tightened, her delicate face hidden behind the mask filled with tension, her long, thick eyelashes trembling incessantly. How could she stand by and watch the beauty in trouble? Chloe Tran decisively leaned over, standing in front of Sophie Amara. She had already thought it through. If Derek Whiteleaf came over and kept bothering them, she would say he had mistaken her for someone else, protecting her stunning roommate as they made their escape. After all, her roommate was wearing a mask. Whatever she said would be true. No matter what, she couldn't let that shameless Derek Whiteleaf take pride in this. Chloe Tran didn't realize that her way of addressing Derek Whiteleaf had shifted from young Master Doan to that shameless guy. She had never even dared to think like that before. Her actions had greatly eased Sophie Amara's tension and panic, allowing her to gradually calm down. After all, this was her own issue. How could she let her friends face it for her? Confronting a fierce monster alone? Indeed, Derek Whiteleaf was now a fierce monster in Sophie Amara's eyes. To be more precise, the protagonists in the original story were all fierce monsters in her view. It was just that the monster named Derek Whiteleaf was the one most directly related to her, making him seem a bit scarier. Sophie Amara regained her composure, raising her eyebrows at Chloe Tran, her amber eyes shining like the first rays of morning sun, warm and gentle, carrying a hint of comfort. Earlier, when she heard Derek Whiteleaf was coming to the canteen, Sophie Amara had panicked, but now, thinking back, she was standing in the bustling crowd, wearing a mask. Derek Whiteleaf couldn't possibly recognize her the moment he entered the canteen. That stop could very well have been directed at someone else. That stop could very well have been directed at someone else. With that thought, Sophie Amara turned her face toward the source of the voice, her clear gaze filled with curiosity, like a little deer in the woods cautiously navigating danger. Chloe Tran reflexively turned her head to look as well, but her eyes were dazed and blank. Her mind was still replaying the scene where Sophie Amara had just smiled at her, her heart swirling with emotions, her thoughts consumed by, I am going to die. She didn't want to be moved, but her stunning roommate had smiled at her, and it was a smile just for her. Suddenly, a fierce argument broke out, snapping Chloe Tran back to reality, her focus sharpening. At the canteen entrance, Derek Whiteleaf was arguing with a female student across from him, both of their expressions far from pleasant, their voices loud enough to nearly break the canteen's ceiling. The argument that had just awakened Chloe Tran stemmed from these two. She recognized the female student. She had become quite famous lately, having secured the top spot in the latest school beauty contest. Her name seemed to be Dylan Xiao. Normally, Chloe Tran would never miss an opportunity to eavesdrop, even pushing her way to the front to enjoy the spectacle. But now, with her stunning roommate beside her, everything else was just background noise. Chloe Tran quickly looked back at Sophie Amara. The girl clearly noticed the commotion over there, and a look of relief flickered between her brows, as if a burden had been lifted, blooming like flowers after the rain. How about we find a place to sit down first? Although Derek Whiteleaf hadn't targeted Sophie Amara earlier, to be on the safe side, Chloe Tran thought it wouldn't hurt to keep their distance. Sophie Amara naturally had no objections. Exiting the canteen now might very well put them in Derek Whiteleaf's line of sight, so it was better to wait a bit. Derek Whiteleaf felt he was really unlucky. Today was already the second day. Not to mention finding the little fairy, he hadn't even received a hint within the school. He could only follow Bennett Lang's advice and deliberately spread the news of a 2 million reward, hoping the other party would come forward to claim it. The result was that after waiting half a day, no one showed up. Furious, he scolded Bennett Lang for his poor suggestion and couldn't help but take matters into his own hands. Thinking that the little fairy was a new student who might be eating in the canteen at noon, Derek Whiteleaf decided to check each canteen to try his luck. However, he didn't expect that as soon as he stepped into this small canteen, a girl with long flowing hair slapped him once. A few strands of hair brushed against his face. Though it didn't hurt, Derek Whiteleaf was proud. And wasn't this the same as being slapped directly? He was already annoyed, and now someone had walked right into his line of fire. Did they really think he was just a pushover? Derek Whiteleaf was like a barrel of gunpowder, ready to explode with just a little spark. He immediately ordered the girl to stop, preparing to teach her a lesson. When she turned around, he realized it was that damn girl who always liked to confront him. Timing is everything. Why are you letting your hair down, showing off your long hair? If you don't have the fate of a golden-haired princess, don't act like one. Derek Whiteleaf maintained his usual sharp and caustic demeanor. Standing opposite him, Dylan Xiao was momentarily taken aback, her mind still reeling. Like Derek Whiteleaf, she wasn't there to eat either. Earlier in class, she had caught a glimpse of him, and despite her best efforts to not think too much about it, she couldn't help but ponder after leaving the classroom. Distracted, she was pulled into the canteen by Lily Zhou. Now this young master was deliberately provoking her, picking on her hair. Really thinking she was easy to bully? Dylan Xiao refused to back down. Regaining her composure, she immediately retorted. Is there a school rule that says I can't let my hair down? It's my hair, what does it have to do with you? The young master should take some time to elevate his own character a bit. He shouldn't just point fingers at others all day. In the past, when Dylan Xiao argued with him like this, Derek Whiteleaf found it quite novel and genuinely felt that the other person was truly noble and unpretentious, unlike other female students who would go crazy at the sight of him and wouldn't even dare to fart. But today was different. He only felt annoyed and impatient, even lacking the energy to banter with her, his eyes revealing a fierce look. Your hair brushed against my face, sorry. Dylan Xiao had never seen such a beast-like gaze from Derek Whiteleaf, and she was momentarily taken aback, her heart pounding, a hint of grievance flashing across her bright face that couldn't be ignored. Previously, Derek Whiteleaf had never spoken nicely, but Dylan Xiao knew he treated her specially. This time was different. Derek Whiteleaf was being aggressive with her, no different from how he treated ordinary people. Dylan Xiao was very angry. Relying on her status as the daughter of the Kui family, she didn't consider apologizing and continued to stubbornly argue with him. The two of them exchanged heated words, unable to suppress their anger, and the argument grew more intense. The spacious cafeteria had turned into their battlefield, and other students, out of respect for the two, could only lower their heads to eat, occasionally whispering a few words. Not far away, Sophie Amara watched this scene and couldn't help but blink, feeling that the description of this pair of adversaries in the story was indeed not wrong. Not wanting to keep Sophie Amara and Chloe Tran waiting too long, 5 minutes later, Derek Whiteleaf and Dylan Xiao left in displeasure, both choosing not to enter the cafeteria again and directly turning to leave. On the way back to the dormitory, taking advantage of the free time in the afternoon without classes, Sophie Amara remembered something she had forgotten. She turned around and rummaged through her only peach-colored bag, finding a slightly worn bracelet. The string of the bracelet was the simplest red thread, with a bead of unknown material, entirely off-white and translucent, engraved at the bottom with the words "Na." This was one of the reasons Sophie Amara was referred to as the academic genius in the story. The bracelet was identical to the one Dylan Xiao owned. Having wanted to distance herself from the original story, She should have discarded everything that could entangle her in disputes from the original work. Sophie Amara had thought so, but when she held the bracelet in her hand, she found it hard to let go. This bracelet had existed since she was born. The bead had never changed, only the red thread string had been replaced. Before she knew the original story, Sophie Amara had always believed that this bracelet was a gift from her parents. A tacit gift that went unspoken. Now thinking back, it was indeed so, but the parents who gave this gift were not the ones she thought. Perhaps when she was born, the two who gifted it were once filled with love and anticipation. Am. Hurry and check this post on the school forum. Chloe Tran's voice interrupted Sophie Amara's train of thought. She put the bracelet back in her bag and quickly walked over to Chloe Tran. What's going on? Although she had been sticking to Sophie Amara for the past 2 days, when faced with her suddenly striking beauty, Chloe Tran still couldn't help but be taken aback. She amusingly pinched Sophie Amara's nose with one hand to avoid the embarrassment of a nosebleed in front of her beautiful roommate, while the other hand handed Sophie Amara her phone, which was lit up, her voice deep yet unable to hide her excitement. I don't know who secretly took a picture of you in the cafeteria and posted it on the school forum. Now many people are discussing it. Sophie Amara's heart skipped a beat. Feeling a bit uneasy, she lowered her head to follow Chloe Tran's words. What caught her eye was an attention-grabbing headline. Goddess descends to earth. A recommendation for everyone to come and pay homage. Sophie Amara found this title a bit exaggerated, and couldn't immediately think of how it related to her. She continued reading. The first level was the post author's statement, very simple, just one photo. The background of the photo was a wall covered with doodles, with vibrant colors that were very eye-catching. However, standing out more than the wall was the girl occupying the center of the photo. She wore a mask revealing only half of her snow-white skin, her eyes like paintings but not detracting from her captivating beauty. The early summer sunlight streamed through the window, casting a golden hue on her jet-black hair, thick like seaweed. Occasionally, a few golden rays danced on her slightly drooping thick eyelashes, and on her straight nose, resembling the halo of a newly emerged goddess. This photo seemed to be enchanted, capable of reaching the deepest parts of the heart. It made everyone who saw it want to seek out the girl in the picture, wanting to see how breathtaking her face hidden behind the mask was. Sophie Amara realized this was her. However, she raised her hand to touch her cheek, her small fair face showing a look of doubt. She only felt that this photo had a bit of atmosphere, but didn't think she looked beautiful enough in it to be called a unique treasure. Indeed, after the post author shared this photo, the second level was filled with praise for the girl in the picture, saying things like the goddess of beauty descends to earth, reincarnated as a unique treasure in the world. Even wearing a mask makes it irresistible, and I've never seen anyone as beautiful as this in my life. If the beauty just says one word to me, I'm willing to die in the next life. Of course, the exaggerated words of the post author also received a wave of unintentional ridicule. 12L. The photo is well taken, but isn't it a bit overly edited? 13L. Exactly, if the school really had a beauty like this, we would have known long ago, right? The post author has an eye for aesthetics but lacks common sense. Excessive embellishment makes it feel fake. 14L. I fell in love with the photo as soon as I saw it, but you all say the person is fake. Hoo-hoo, post author, what do you owe me? 14L. You all misunderstand the post author. He is very naive and just wants you to praise his photo editing skills. Haha, the one above is really sharp. However, there were also a few people standing by the post author. It's possible she was originally that beautiful, right? The doodled wall in the photo is clearly in cafeteria number 4. Coincidentally, I also saw a girl wearing a mask in cafeteria number 4 today. No exaggeration, the post author's photo doesn't even compare to 1/5 of that girl's beauty. So beautiful and not even 1/5? Dude, you can fool others but don't fool yourself. Ah! I can testify what 35L said is true. I also saw a girl wearing a mask in cafeteria number 4 today. Don't brag. This photo mainly relies on atmosphere. In real life, that girl is also wearing a mask, not showing her whole face. How beautiful can she really be? Personally, I think cafeteria number 4 might actually have a beauty, but the photo the post author posted has definitely been edited. After saying so much, it would be better to check the next topic for the school beauty contest. The girls there are definitely real, okay? He just came back from there. I voted for the princess. Anyone who agrees, support me. I think besides the princess, other classmates are unlikely to take on this responsibility. I will add the goddess's photo to the list of candidates for the beauty contest, so you can see the people's choice. Look at the post author getting anxious. Everyone disperse, please. Wait until the post author has a middle school syndrome attack later. I won't be able to stop it. After that, Sophie Amara didn't continue to read the posts, but without exception, everyone who has seen this photo admits to the beauty of the girl in it. The only difference is that some are adamant in believing that the girl in the photo was naturally beautiful, while others think it is the result of extensive editing. Sophia Mara felt that their words were too much. Her face flushed, and she even felt a slight sense of embarrassment rising within her. The photo she took seemed nothing special, especially with her wearing a mask. How could they see her as a stunning beauty? But she didn't realize that a true beauty, even when not fully revealing her features, shines like a full moon amidst a crowd, making the surrounding stars pale in comparison. Every casual gesture, every unintentional word from her made people rush in like moths to a flame. At this moment, Chloe Tran had also calmed down. She let go of her nose. Seeing Sophia Mara finish reading the post, she took back her phone, noticed the continuously rising comments below, and couldn't help but chuckle proudly, saying, "These people do have some taste. It's just that their eyesight is a bit poor." Clearly, the photo in the main post showed no signs of editing, yet these people were determined not to believe it. Before Chloe Tran could laugh for long, she heard her beautiful roommate softly ask, Tutu, do you know how to delete this post? Or just the photo would be fine. Huh? Chloe Tran snapped back to reality. Although she didn't understand the reason, she instinctively replied, "You can submit a request to the student council, but usually if there's no valid reason, it won't be deleted. Only the higher-ups in the student council have the privilege to delete posts at will." "Is that so?" Sophia Mara frowned, her voice a bit downcast. She wanted to delete this post because she feared that Derek Whiteleaf would see it and recognize her, causing trouble again. There really wasn't any valid reason at all. "It's okay. Let's just try submitting a request and see what happens." Unable to bear seeing her beautiful roommate disappointed, Chloe Tran said she would act, and she opened the previous post to prepare to submit a deletion request. But in the next moment, she exclaimed in astonishment, "Damn it, how did it get deleted so quickly? Who did this?" The one who deleted the post was Bennett Lang. Today he had some free time and was casually browsing the school forum. Just as he was about to log out, he noticed a new post titled "Goddess Descends. Recommend everyone to come and pay homage." As a well-known playboy from Lorton Academy, Bennett Lang had encountered quite a few girlfriends, each with a diverse style. Some were seductive, some cute, some sexy, some graceful. A little bit of everything. He considered himself to have seen rare beauties in the world, so he looked down on the exaggerated flowery words in the title of the post. People in this academy, anyone they met, would be called a celestial maiden descending to earth. They truly had never seen the world. With a mix of amusement and surprise, Bennett Lang casually clicked on the post, intending to treat it as a bit of fun to share with his good friends later. However, when the main image of the post loaded, Bennett Lang's indifferent expression suddenly froze. The strong visual shock made the muscles around his eyes tremble uncontrollably, turning his usually handsome and carefree face into a strange comical mask. Staring wide-eyed at his phone screen, Bennett Lang felt that his previous words were utterly ridiculous. It wasn't that the people in the academy had never seen the world. Clearly, he was the one with shallow understanding. Bennett Lang gently moved his finger, saved the image and quickly scrolled down. He wanted to find information about the girl, ideally down to her major and class, and then immediately pursue her. But this plan quickly fell apart. He scrolled to the end without finding any relevant information, instead coming across numerous comments doubting that the image had been edited. As the heir of one of the 4 wealthy families, Bennett Lang still had a bit of discernment, and this image was indeed the original. In fact, he couldn't believe it. Just a girl wearing a mask, whose real face was not revealed, could make his heart sway as if he were seeing a long-lost first love. No, even if he met his first love, he wouldn't feel this way. Bennett Lang understood himself very well. Looking at the rapidly increasing comments below the post, he sighed and instinctively squinted. Since he couldn't find any relevant information from the post, then it no longer needed to exist. Bennett Lang logged in using the administrator account of the vice president of the student council, clicked the delete button at the top of the post, and his usually flirtatious eyes now contained the glint of a hungry wolf. When a treasure suddenly appears, the first one to discover it naturally has the right to choose. And he had chosen. Before anyone else noticed, he would seize the treasure for himself. Bennett Lang believed he had secured his victory, but he did not realize that the original poster had already moved the image of Sophia Mara to the adjacent post for the school beauty contest ahead of him.